Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. Today we will discuss some important questions from biology chapters Heredity, Control and Coordination and Our Environment. So the first question is, in a cross capital T small t into capital T small t, the percentage of offspring having same genotype as parents would be. So here the parents' genotypes are capital T small t into capital T small t. So this condition is called as heterozygous. So here both the parents will produce two types of gametes, capital T and a small t. So if these two joining, then it will become capital T, the offspring will be tall. Then this will be again capital T, small t, tall. This is capital T, small t, tall. This is small t, dwarf. Now our question is, how many offsprings having the same genotype? So same genotype means these two have the same genotype. So we can say 50% of the offsprings have the same genotype similar to the parents. Pea plants were more suitable than cats for Mendel's experiment because pea plants have short lifespan, many visible contrasting traits are seen, pea plants can be self-pollinated or cross-pollinated, all of the above. Actually, these three properties or characteristics of pea plants helped Mendel to get successful results in his cross. Selection of pea plant itself is one of the reasons for his success. So here the answer is all of the above. A gamete contains which of the following? Both alleles of a gene, only one allele of a gene, all alleles of a gene, no alleles of a gene. In organisms like human beings, we have two sets of each chromosome, but when the gamete is forming, only one will come. For example, if we write capital T and capital T, but in the gamete only one will be there. So this condition is called haploid, and if you have two copies, it is called a diploid. So gametes are always haploid. So in gamete, how many alleles are coming? Only one. So second answer is the correct option. If a tall green seeded plant capital T, capital Y is crossed with a dwarf yellow seeded one, small t, capital Y. Here tall is a dominant trait, so we are using capital T letter, and green is a recessive trait for seed color, so small y we are using. Its dominant color is yellow, so capital Y is used for the dominant, and the dwarf is the recessive trait. So if you cross this, you will get capital T, small y into small t, capital Y. So here only one will come to the gamete. Here also out of this one, so we get this. Here small t and capital Y. So only one allele from that gene will come to the gamete. So if you join these two, what will you get? Capital T, capital Y, small y. At least one capital is present, its phenotype will appear, that is tall, and here capital Y is there, so yellow. So what is the answer? All plants are tall and yellow. In peas, a pure violet flowered plant, capital V is pure means homozygous, both the alleles are same, is crossed with a white flowered plant which is recessive. The ratio of pure violet plant to white plant. So we know that we are getting the ratio 1:2:1. It is a monohybrid cross. 1 capital V is to 2 capital V small v is to 1 small v will be our answer. So in this case, ratio of pure violet is 1 and a pure white plant is this. This is heterozygous, though it is violet. So answer is 1:1. Next is an assertion reason question. The sex of a child in human beings will be determined by the type of chromosome he or she inherits from the father. Yes, it is correct, because in male there are two types of sex chromosomes. Which chromosome is received by the child will determine the sex of the child. A child who inherits X chromosome from his father would be a boy, while a child who inherits Y chromosome of the father would be a girl. Actually here it is the other way around. A child who inherits Y chromosome from his father would be a boy, and X chromosome from the father would be a girl. So here assertion is correct, but reason is false. A normal cell of a human body contains 23 pairs of chromosomes. That's our chromosome number. The number of chromosomes in a sex cell, sperm or ovum of cell of a human being is most likely to be. See, though our cells have 23 pairs of chromosomes, the gamete will have only 23, that is haploid, right? So the sperm, which is a male gamete, or ovum, which is a female gamete, will contain only one set of each chromosome, that is only 23. Mention the type of allele that expresses itself only in homozygous state in an organism. So if an allele is a recessive trait, then definitely it will be expressed only in the homozygous state, because in heterozygous state only dominant character will be expressed. A couple have 5 sons. What is the possibility of their having a son next time? So the number of children or their sexes, irrespective of that, every single fertilization, chance of getting a boy or a girl is 50% or 1:1 ratio, because the male produces always X and Y, 50% of X chromosomes and 50% of Y chromosome. Which one is fusing with the X chromosome from the mother will make the sex of the child. So if you show the cross, if it is a 3-mark question, you have to show the cross, 3 or 5 marks. So male and female, we can show only sex chromosome, male XY, female XX. So here male will produce 2 types of chromosome, whereas females will have only 1 type. So a sperm containing X chromosome from the male fertilizes an ovum, then it will result in XS, which is again female or a baby girl. If a Y containing sperm is fertilizing the ovum, then it will result in XY chromosome, that is called a male. In peas, a pure tall plant crosses with a pure dwarf plant. The F1 progeny then cross with a pure tall plant. What percentage of plant will have tall plant in F2 generation? So we know that pure tall plant means what? Capital T into pure. Pure means homozygous, small t. So here it will be capital T and small t. So we get capital T, small t. This is the tall plant. All plants are tall. What percentage of plant will have tall plant in the F2 generation? But F1 progeny we are crossing with the pure tall plant. So this is the F1 progeny, capital T, small t is the F1 progeny, but we are crossing with the pure tall plant. So capital T. So first one will produce 2 types of gametes, whereas the second one only 1. So this will become tall. This also will become tall. Though it is heterozygous, it is tall. This is also tall. So what is the percentage? 100% tall plants will get. How many pairs of chromosomes control somatic characters in human being? Somatic means the characters other than sex. They are controlled by autosomes. So the chromosomes which are controlling somatic characters are autosomes. We have 22 pairs of autosomes in our body and 1 pair of sex chromosome. Which type of blood group is called a universal donor? Blood group O is called a universal donor because blood group is based on the presence of antigen on the surface of the RBC. If antigen A is present, it is A blood group, but if it is given to B blood group, antibody A from the B blood group will react with this. The same way B blood group has antigen B, so if it is donated to A blood group or AB blood group, that antibody B will be creating problem. And blood group AB has both antigens, so it cannot be donated to A or B or O, it can be given to only AB. But blood group O does not have any antigen. A or B antigen. So even if it is given to another blood group, the antibodies present in that will not react with the antigen. So O group can be given to other blood groups, so it is called a universal donor, whereas AB blood group does not have any antibody, it can receive any other blood group, so it is called a universal recipient. So about blood group, the video link is given in the description box, you can check out the video. How do Mendel's experiments show that the traits are inherited independently? So when Mendel did dihybrid cross, means what? 2 cross characters were taken into consideration at the same time. Along with the parental combination, he got non-parental combination as well. For example, suppose he is taking a round and a tall and a wrinkled dwarf. Okay, so he got the ratio in the dihybrid cross 9:3:3:1. 9 of them were like the first parent. 1 was like the second parent. The other 3 and 3. These are not the numbers but the ratio. Where of the new combination, that is round and dwarf, tall and wrinkled. So two new combinations formed. So if the traits were not coming independently or inherited independently, he would have got only parental combinations. The new combinations found shows that the traits are inherited independently. Based on his dihybrid cross, he proposed the law of independent assortment. So Mendel proposed total 3 laws. Based on his monohybrid cross, he proposed 2 laws: law of dominance and law of segregation, or otherwise called a universal law. Whereas based on his dihybrid cross, he proposed his third law, law of independent assortment. How many gametes will form from the following genotypes? So here we will get capital T, capital R and capital T, small r. So two gametes are forming, whereas here capital T, capital Y. So we can take like this. Then capital T, small y, small t, capital Y, small t, small y. 4 types. There is an equation to find out this. Usually for class 12 only we need this. That is 2 to the power of n. N is the number of heterozygous pair. For example, first one 2. How many heterozygous? This is homozygous pair. This is heterozygous. So one heterozygous pair is there. 2 to the power of 1. So 2 gametes we are getting, 1 and 2. Whereas the second one 2 to the power of how many heterozygous? This is also heterozygous. Here also heterozygous. 2. So 4. So we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use this formula or directly you can write and find out. How is chromosome number re-established in the offsprings? We know that human beings have 2 sets of chromosomes, but when a gamete is forming, there is a special kind of division happening which is called a meiosis, which will ensure that only one set of chromosome is there in the gametes or the daughter cells form, or we can say that only half the number of chromosome will be there in the daughter cells after meiosis. So as a result, when these gametes which are having only one set of chromosome or haploid or half the number of chromosomes, when they join together, again the chromosome number will become double like the parent. So this is how chromosome number is re-established. For example, if there is a 23 pairs of chromosomes or 46 chromosomes are there in a cell. Not all cells have 46, but there are certain cells in our body which will undergo only meiosis to produce gametes. They are called a gamete mother cells. So once they undergo meiosis division, the chromosome number will become 23. So in male, a sperm will form with 23, and in female, ovum will form with 23. So when these two are fusing during fertilization, the zygote will have again 46 chromosomes, re-establishing the number of chromosomes. Which is the correct sequence of the components of a reflex arc? Receptors, muscles, no. Receptor, motor neuron, no. Receptor to the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron will take it to the spinal cord. From spinal cord, motor neuron will bring it back to the effector muscles. So option D is correct. This pathway is very important. This is reflex arc. In a neuron, conversion of electrical signal to a chemical signal occurs in, so you know that it is at the end of the axon. So when the message is reaching at the end, there is a gap here that is called a synapse. So there at the end, the electrical signal will be converted into chemical signal to cross the synapse. Identify A and B. A is the cerebrum, B is the cerebellum. So answer is option A. Growth of pollen tube towards ovule during fertilization is an example of chemotropism. It is because of certain chemicals, the pollen landing on the top of the stigma will be allowed to grow down to the ovule. So it is called a chemotropism since chemicals are involved. Geotropism means what? The tropic movement or the movement of plant in response to the stimulus of gravity. So roots are positively geotropic, whereas shoots are negatively geotropy because they are growing against gravity. Hydrotropism means the movement of plants towards or away from the stimulus of water. Phototropism means the movement of plant towards or away from the stimulus of light. Roots are negatively phototropic, shoots are positively phototropic. Olfactory receptors are present in. We are learning two receptors, olfactory and gustatory. So olfactory receptors are receiving the smell, so nose they are present. Gustatory receptors are present in the tongue because they receive the stimulus of taste. Dwarfism in human being is caused due to the deficiency of growth hormone. So if growth hormone is not secreted in proper amount, it will result in dwarfism. It's secreted by pituitary gland. And if it is excess secretion, it can cause a condition called gigantism. And thyroxine, you know, it is secreted by the thyroid gland. Insulin is secreted from the pancreas. Adrenaline is secreted from the adrenal gland. The main function of abscisic acid in plant. Abscisic is a plant growth inhibitor. So it cannot promote, it increase or promote is a positive, but here it is inhibiting the growth because it's an inhibitor. Which of the following acts as both endocrine and exocrine gland? Endocrine glands means secreting hormones. Exocrine glands means secreting enzymes. So pancreas can secrete hormone, which is a hormone secreted by pancreas, insulin. Whereas pancreas can also secrete digestive enzymes like a trypsin and lipase. So since it can secrete both, it is a heterocrine gland. Breathing is controlled by which part of the brain? Medulla oblongata of the brain controls breathing, rate of breathing. It also controls salivation, blood pressure, vomiting. So 4 points are there: respiration or breathing, salivation, respiration, vomiting are controlled by medulla oblongata. All these are involuntary actions. Identify the hormone and also mention the name of endocrine gland from which the hormone is secreted. Lowering of blood glucose level is by insulin and it is secreted by pancreas. Development of moustache and beard in human males, that is by the male sex hormone called testosterone and it is secreted by testis. Emergency hormone is adrenaline, secreted by adrenal gland, which is located on top of the kidneys. Regulates metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins and fats is by thyroxine, secreted by thyroid gland. Regulates growth by growth hormone, secreted by pituitary gland, which is otherwise called a master gland. Which mineral is required for the proper functioning of thyroid gland? We know iodine is required for the proper functioning of thyroid gland. If there is iodine deficiency, it will lead to the swelling of neck and that condition is called a goiter. Here you can see a diagram. A potter plant is made to lie horizontally on the ground. Which part of the plant will show positive geotropism and negative geotropism? Positive means growing towards gravity, so it will be shown by the root, which is part B. Whereas negative geotropism means against the gravity it will grow upwards, so that is by shoot, part A. Root will grow downwards. What is synapse in a neuron cell? How is an electrical impulse created and what is the role of synapse in this context? So here when a neuron is there, the end of the axon has axonites or axon and synaptic nodes. Before it starts with the next neuron, there is a gap and that is called a synapse. So this gap is synapse. It is a functional gap between adjacent neurons. Okay, functional gap, that word is important. Functional gap between adjacent neurons. So once a receptor or dendrites are acting as receptors, once they receive an stimulus, it will be converted into electrical impulse and it will pass through the axon as electrical impulse. On reaching the end of the axon, it will be converted into a chemical so that it can cross the synapse and reach the next neuron or postsynaptic neuron. Here you can see a graph. So here percentage of inhibition and percentage stimulation are given. Here auxin concentration is shown. So when auxin is increased, so auxin concentration increasing, initially it is growing up, then it goes down. Auxin secreted from the stem. So shoot elongation and root elongation. So what could be concluded by observing the given graph? So we know that the growth this is the auxin secretion. So more auxin secretion is required for shoot growth than the root. So here the given graph concludes that shoot growth requires greater concentration of auxin as compared to growth of roots, because we saw the more amount of auxin was required for the shoot growth, and the application of very high concentration of auxin inhibits the growth of shoot directly. That's why the graph was going up and declines. The response of roots to auxin can be represented by an optimum curve with a peak at very low concentration. The hormone that acts as growth inhibitor is abscisic acid, AVA. Why do plant roots exhibit positive geotropism? The plant roots grow in the direction of gravity and therefore exhibit positive geotropism, whereas the shoots grow opposite to the direction of gravity, so we call it as negative geotropism. What are the advantages of the fact that most reflex actions are governed by spinal cord? The advantages are: 1. This enables the body to give quick responses to harmful stimuli, thus protecting the body, because it's a very emergency situation. If the message is going to the brain, it can get delayed and also thinking process will be involved. Without that, a quick response is made by the spinal cord. It minimizes the overloading of the brain, because brain involves intricately arranged neurons for thinking process. In many animals, reflex arcs have evolved as efficient way of functioning in the absence of true thought process. Why is flow of signals in a synapse from axonal end of one neuron to dendrite end of another neuron, but the reverse is not possible? When an electrical signal reaches the axonal end of a neuron, it releases a chemical substance. These chemical substances are otherwise called neurotransmitters. Okay, this chemical diffuses towards the dendrite, means there is a gap. Through the gap, the chemical diffuses and reaches the next neuron, that is dendrite end of the next neuron, so that it can generate a new electrical impulse or a signal. Hence, the electrical signal is converted into a chemical signal at the axonal end. The receptors for receiving these chemicals produced in the axonal end are produced in the dendritic end only. So, dendrite should receive, whereas the dendrites can also convert the chemical signal into electrical signal. That cannot be done by the axon end. So because of that, it is happening at the axon end. An old man was feeling thirsty and weakness regularly. He consulted his doctor, and doctor advised him to take less sugar in his diet. Name the disease from which the man is suffering. He is suffering from diabetes mellitus, where his blood sugar level is high. Mention the hormone due to imbalance of which he is suffering from this disease. It is due to the imbalance of the insulin hormone. Which endocrine gland secretes this hormone? Pancreas is the endocrine gland secreting this hormone. What will be the effect of the following on a person if there is deficiency of growth hormone? The person will become dwarf. So that is called a dwarfism. Excess secretion of growth hormone, gigantism. Why is the use of iodized salt advisable? Iodine is essential for the proper functioning of thyroid gland. Thyroid gland secretes thyroxine hormone, so it is essential. Name the disease caused due to deficiency of iodine in our diet. It is goiter, or the swelling of neck, and state symptoms: swelling of neck. Neck means the thyroid gland is becoming swollen up. Name the various plant hormones. We are studying 4 hormones: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin and abscisic acid. Also give their physiological effect on plant growth and development. Auxin promotes growth. Gibberellin also increases height but by stem elongation. Cytokinin promotes cell division. Abscisic acid inhibits growth. In a food chain, the snake predated as rabbit which fed on fresh green bushes. What percentage of amount of energy accumulated by rabbit would be acquired by snake? So, from rabbit only 10% of energy will be available to the snake. Any trophic level to the next trophic level only 10% will be available. This is called a 10% law. Each step in a food chain is called a trophic level. Flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. Yes, it is true. Energy captured by autotrophs does not revert back to the solar input and it passes to the herbivore. Yes, that's why it is called a unidirectional flow of energy. So, both assertion and reason are correct and correct explanation as well. Percentage of solar radiation absorbed by all the green plants of the process of photosynthesis is about only 1%. So, from the sun, only 1% will be coming to plants, and from plants to the next every level only 10% will be available. In a food chain consisting plants, grasshopper, frog, snake, if grasshopper has 50 joule of energy, what amount of energy is transferred to snake? First we have to write the food chain in order: plants, grasshopper, frog, snake. Okay, sometimes they may give it in a different order, so first writing it is very important. Then grasshopper has 50 joule, then frog will get only 5 joule, snake will get only 0.5 joule. Each place you have to bring one decimal place to the left, so that you will get 0.5 joule to the snake. What is meant by biological magnification? Accumulation of non-biodegradable chemicals progressively at each trophic level in a food chain is called biological magnification. For example, if there is grass, goat, man, a small food chain. Here, suppose grass is accumulating some chemical which are non-biodegradable, it can pass on to goat and its concentration will increase in the body of goat. Then from goat, when it comes to man, its concentration will be again high. So always the organism at the last trophic level will have the highest concentration of chemicals. So this process is called a biological magnification. What will happen if we kill all the organisms in one trophic level? Suppose again if I select the same trophic level, suppose if all grasses are removed, then the goat will suffer because goat is depending on grass as it's the source of energy. So goat population also will be affected. Eventually men also will be affected because the human beings are depending on goat for their food. See, in this particular context we are talking about, it's not a general. We might think that okay, if goat is not there we have other choice, but imagine if it is a carnivore, definitely that will be affected. Then second, the organism in a specific trophic level will not be able to get the food. So whatever is coming after that will not get, and it will cause a disturbance in food chain, and therefore ecological balance will also take place. The reason is, suppose in this case if you are removing lion, imagine deer population will increase because there is no predator for them. So that will affect the balance of the nature. What are the effects of UV radiations? UV radiations cause different types of cancer in human beings, and also if it is on plant, and it can cause something called a UV cataract. In case of plants, it can affect the crop yield also. In which layer of atmosphere does ozone present? It is present in the stratosphere. What are the causes of ozone depletion? The ozone depletion is due to a chemical called a chlorofluorocarbon, which is used in refrigerators and fire extinguishers, AC, etc. Write the chemical equation for formation of ozone. O2 will deplete to form O and O. This O2 and this O will become the triatomic molecule of oxygen, that is called a ozone. Here is a pyramid showing different trophic levels. Why do we have greater number of organisms at a lower level? At the lower level, we always find producers. They are only organisms can carry photosynthesis, so their energy level is very high. Because we know when it goes up, the energy level is decreasing, 10% low. So the number of organisms depending on that also will be less. Which level shows maximum biological magnification? Why? Always the last or the highest trophic level will show maximum biological magnification because concentration is increasing. So here tertiary consumers in this case. Most food chains have 3 to 5 steps only. Because of 10% low, the energy available to the higher trophic level is only 10% from one trophic level. The number of steps in a food chain are limited. Create a food chain of the following: insect, frog, grass, hawk and a snake. So first we have to write grass. We have to always start with a producer. It's eaten by insect, eaten by frog, eaten by snake, and last trophic level hawk. Name the organism at the second and fourth trophic level. We just have to number to see which is the trophic level. Here they are asking second and fourth. So second is insect and fourth is snake. Which organism of this food chain will have the lowest and highest concentration of non-biodegradable chemicals? Lowest will be grass and hawk will have highest. Name the phenomenon associated with it. Biological magnification. If 1000 joule of energy is available to snake, how much energy will be available to insects and a hawk? So snake 1000 joule. Then frog must have been 10,000 joule. We are increasing 10. Here 1 lakh joule. So insects had 1 lakh joule. Hawk will be getting only 100 joule. If a round green seeded pea plant, round heterozygous capital R small r, and green is recessive, so it can be homozygous only, is crossed with a wrinkled and yellow. Wrinkled is recessive, so it has to be homozygous, but here dominant trait is also homozygous. The seeds produced in F1 generation. So we can write capital R, small y into small r, capital Y, capital Y. So here first we will get 2 types of gametes, whereas in the second we get only 1 type. We are getting capital R, capital Y, small y, and the other one is small r, capital Y, small y. Here at least one capital is there, means it is round. This will make it dominant yellow, round yellow. This is wrinkled, but capital Y is making it yellow. So round yellow and wrinkled yellow, this will be the answer. It is possible that a trait is inherited but may not be expressed. Give a suitable example to justify the statement, especially in case of recessive character. Suppose if you cross a tall plant homozygous or pure tall plant with a pure dwarf plant, we know that in the F1 generation the alleles are capital T and small t. F1 generation plants inherit small t allele, but it is not expressed, but only tallness will be expressed. So in the case of recessive condition, it may be receiving the allele but not expressed. In this picture you are seeing touch me not plant. Once it is without any stimulation when it is touched. There are two types of movements in plants, growth dependent and a growth independent. This is a growth independent movement. Write the type of movement here is actually it is a thigmonastic movement, where it is in response to stimulus touch, so the word thigmo. Okay, and also it is irrespective of the direction of the stimulus. And give an example of a plant hormone that promotes growth. We can give any plant growth promoters. Example, auxin we can write. Then what is the function of the nervous system? Nervous system controls and coordinates the body functions in animals. How is the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant different from the movement of shoot towards light? Movement of leaves of sensitive plant is in response to the stimulus of touch. It is growth independent. Whereas the movement of shoot towards light, that movement is in response to the stimulus of light, and it is growth dependent. Hope you understood all the concepts I taught today. These videos have been uploaded in Biology My Passion. Please visit and learn if you have any doubt. If you find this useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel Biology My Passion. Thank you for watching.